Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show number 51. I'm pumped you're here today because today we have on Stephen Taylor, who is, first of all, he owns a ton of rental real estate, like 300 plus units of rental real estate, and just got into laundromats within the last year. And he's going to talk about his experience, why he did it, which I thought was kind of a funny reason why he decided to buy a laundromat, even though he had so much rental units. I think you'll get a kick out of it. But he talks a lot about how he got to the point he's at right now in business. So it's a lot of fun. I will tell you that we're both a couple slow talkers. So this would be a really good one to listen at a faster speed, probably if you're not patient with the slow talkers like my wife, who is not patient with me when I slow talk. Anyways, just wanted to give you a heads up on that one. Man, not only is this a super cool show with Stephen, but there's just so much cool stuff happening right now with Laundromat Resource. First of all, the forums have been going like crazy, and I've just been loving all the conversations happening over there. One, I just wanted to highlight real quick. Somebody's trying to start up a machine brand thread where you can just talk about machine brands, the pros, the cons of those. I thought that would just be awesome to hear from those of you guys who have a particular brand that you like or don't like, and can be able to just have a conversation about that over there on the forums. That one's in the Laundromat forum. We have a few different forums over there. That one's in the Laundromat forum. Also, I wanted to take a second to say welcome to all the new members who've come over to Laundromat Resource and signed up for the membership over there. And in particular, I want to say a huge welcome and thank you for those of you new members who went over to the new members introduction form and introduced yourself. Real quick, I just want to say welcome to Elias, Tim, who he titled his something like "Hello Laundromates," which I thought was hilarious, and I think probably should stick. Laundromates, like, what's up, mate? I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I was cracking up at that. So Elias, Tim, GNR5, Nicholas, Alex, Glenn, Kay, Andrew, Shelly, Anthony, Chris, and more. I mean, just welcome to you guys. Super glad to have you part of the community. If you haven't gone over there and introduced yourself yet on the new member introductions forum, there's a lot of really cool conversations happening. And not only that, what I see happening a lot right now is people in the same general area are starting to gravitate towards each other and to connect with each other, which I think is so cool, like awesome, incredible. So if you're looking for people in your area, I know Atlanta is going off right now. New Jersey is going off right now. There was somebody lonely in Florida, and man, if you're in Florida, go find that person and connect, because there was nobody else in Florida who reached out to them. And I know some of you guys are out there in Florida. So anyways, I just wanted to say a huge welcome to you guys who introduced yourselves over there. Go meet somebody, welcome them to the community if you haven't done that in a little while. Go ask a question, answer a question, jump in on these discussions, maybe the machine brand discussion or another one. There's a lot of really cool conversations happening there, and you can jump in at any point in time. Also, I wanted to just let you know or remind you, if you already knew, that I do a live webinar every single Thursday. You can sign up at laundromatresource.com. There's a form right at the top of the page there. You can sign up as many times as you want and listen to me drone on and on about laundromats every single week. It's a lot of fun. In fact, a lot of you guys have been coming. Been very, very cool. Bringing questions and learning all about laundromats. So come join us if you're interested in that. And a special thank you and hello to Denise at the Laundry Room, Culver City, who gave me this spiffy. Yeah, spiffy. I'm going to say spiffy hat, which you probably can't see if you're on the podcast right now. But, all the ladies are saying that it makes my eyes pop. And by all the ladies, I mean my mom mostly. but seriously, Denise, thank you. I love the Laundry Room Culver City hat, and I will rock it. Is it cool if I wear it to my own laundromat? Can you rep another laundromat at your own laundromat? I think you can, and I think I will. So anyways, Hey, what's up, Denise? And thanks again for the hat. All right, let's jump into it with Steven, because this is an awesome episode. You're going to learn a ton, even if you're just interested in investing in general. I mean, Steven, in order to get this many rental properties and laundromat and more, you just have to you got to have something special. And he shares that something special that he has with us today. So you're definitely going to want to pay attention and maybe speed up the playback if that's your deal too. All right. I'll catch you on the back end where we'll talk about some takeaways from today's episode. Let's jump into it. Steven, how are you, man? Thank you for coming on the podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's my honor. And I'm really excited to talk to you about your story. I know you have a pretty cool way that you got into the business, and a lot of what you do in terms of like your real estate investing is right up my alley. I love real estate investing. So I'd like to explore that a little bit. But before we get into all of that and your laundromat experience, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are? Tell us about your background.
Well, born and raised here in Ohio, up close to the lake. We married, 2 kids. Just a normal everyday Joe. Just hardworking and enjoy what I do.
Awesome. Do you work a normal job, quote unquote?
I haven't worked a normal job in probably 15 years. I work for myself. We got about 30 employees that help us with our real estate company.
All right. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that, because that's the dream, right? That's what a lot of people get into real estate investing for. That's what a lot of people get into laundromats for. So, why don't you tell us, how did you get into maybe real estate, and then maybe lead into how you got into laundromats?
Sure.
Started with real estate, right?
Yeah, real estate.
Yeah, so start with that.
Sure. Well, when I was going through high school, and I was coming out of high school, my mom was telling me how my uncle owned a couple of duplexes, and he rented them out. And I couldn't believe that people paid rent. I just didn't understand that. I grew up in the country. I thought everybody owned their own home. And I was a pretty handy guy. I liked woodworking and can fix just about anything. So I figured, well, real estate, that was for me. So probably right out of high school, I bought my first 4-unit apartment building. Well, I tried to buy a duplex before that with my cousin, and things just didn't work out. We had a couple of differences of opinions. And right then I realized that I never want a partner. If I can't do it on my own, I don't want to do it. So we, shortly thereafter, I bought a 4-unit apartment building in a nice city, and I moved into one of the units, and it almost broke even. I had to pay a few $100 a month to live there. So it was much cheaper than paying rent. So over the years, I think probably 2 years later, I bought a duplex, and the year after that, I bought another duplex, and now 25 years later, 27 years later. Yeah.
You're zooming by here. Holy cow, man. You're saying it like this is nothing. But I know for a fact that people are trying to figure out how to do exactly what you just nonchalantly did. Okay, so back me up here to this 4-plex that you bought first, right? So you house hacked it, right? Which is where you live in one unit and rent out the others, which is cool. You said you got that pretty much out of high school?
Yeah, right out of high school.
How did you do that?
Well, I started back then, we didn't have the internet, so we were early. The internet was a thing then, but I wasn't into the internet. I wasn't able to really qualify for a mortgage easily. So I ended up meeting a gentleman that sold me the property on land contract. And we set up a 15-year term, and I didn't even give much money down. I think $1,000 down on this property, and bought it for $100,000, and over 15 years paid him off and got the property free and clear. And I knew because I look at how much I pay down every month on the principal. I knew that over time that it was going to be worth it. And I knew that, no matter where I worked, I would never be able to save that kind of money. So that's why I kept buying more real estate.
So where did you find this guy?
He had an ad in the newspaper, 4-unit apartment building for sale. And it was funny. The first time I went and talked to him, he said, what did he say? That come back in a month and we'll talk again because I got some other people that are interested. Well, after a month, he still hadn't sold it. And I think I called him to the day, exactly 30 days later. And the persistence paid off. I think it took him a couple of months for him to realize that I was serious and that I was going to, do exactly what I said I was going to do. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you found this in the newspaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Back then, that was before the internet. So that's where everything was in your local paper. I don't think anybody does anything in the local paper anymore. Yeah.
I was going to say, what exactly is a newspaper? Is that
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, that's pretty crazy. So you found this in the newspaper. You called the guy. He's like, I got somebody else. Call me in a month. And you called him in a month. And then it took a couple months, but you got this thing for like $1,000 down and lived in it. How long did you live there?
I lived there probably 3 or 4 years. And then I had a great aunt that she had to go to the nursing home and she didn't want her house to sit empty. So she asked me, hey, would you move into my house and take care of it? No expenses, just move in and take care of it. So I thought, well, okay, I can rent out my unit then, and I can live in her place for free. So that was my next step. That's the only reason I moved out of there.
Wow. Okay. Were you working at that time?
Yeah, I was working for Coca-Cola. I was a delivery driver, worked in the warehouse for a couple of years, and then I spent 13 years at Coca-Cola.
Okay. Okay. So you moved out into your great aunt's house.
Yep.
Okay. Because in your story, it was like I bought a 4-plex and then I bought a duplex and then I bought a duplex and then I bought a duplex and then I bought a right? Like, right. How'd you get that second one?
Second one, I found from a realtor. A realtor sold it to me. It was just an up and down duplex, a couple towns over. And, just from saving up some money, I was able to put, I think at the time I only needed 10% down or something. So that one, I just went to a bank and did that one. I think it was probably maybe 2 years after the first 4-plex it took me to be able to do that one.
Okay. And you didn't house hack that one? That one was just a pure rental?
Pure rental. Yep.
Okay.
And then that was back in the 90s when the mortgage rates and the lenders were very easy to get loans from. So as long as you could show that you've had a history of paying, the banks were willing to give you money. I ramped up really quick from there on out. You would eventually refinance one and pull out, 20, 30,000 and you use that to buy more. And next thing you know, within 4 or 5 years from there, I think I was up to like 40 or 50 rentals. Yeah. And then the market crashed. I had a few people working for me at the time. So with the market crashing, I knew I had to go somewhere else because the banks weren't going to lend me money.
2008?
Yeah, right around 2008.
Yeah. Okay.
But here in Ohio, the rates were so cheap. I mean, the property values were so cheap. I mean, I was buying houses for $5,000, $10,000 a house. So I was borrowing private money from that 2008, I don't even know, 2012. And I probably bought another 30, 40 houses just borrowing private money to buy those houses up. So next thing I know is over 100 properties by that time. So, and then I started a company that we were doing repairs for other landlords because people were buying so many properties during that period that everybody needed someone to fix them up because they were so cheap. So we were doing repairs for other landlords. And so we got into the repair business. We did that we still do that today. And then I started losing some of my customers. They were going with property management companies. So I thought, let's start a property management company. So we started a property management company around 2010, 2012. So now we manage probably, I think, about 1,100 properties here in Northeast Ohio.
Wow.
And then a lot of those properties that we manage over time, people were, they want to sell them, and they want to sell them on financing because they don't need the money. And then you kind of blink and 25, 30 years have gone by, and, we're over 300 properties that we own, and we manage, 1,100 properties. So keeps us busy.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. That's a pretty wild story. And it sounds like you kind of hit it like at your stride at a really good time where
timing was very perfect.
Yeah. You got in just before, or, a little bit before, and you got your experience under your belt, and you got a few units under your belt. And then when property values dropped, you were able to just scoop up a bunch.
Right. It really worked out well. It did. We were very blessed to have that all happen to us in that time frame. And it was scary at the time too, because you didn't know what the market was going to do. I either thought that I was going to be the brightest man on earth or the dumbest man on earth. I wasn't quite sure. And it worked. It worked. Well. It worked. And even some of the property I originally bought when the market crashed, I actually owed a lot more on those properties than what they were worth at the time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my friends that were doing the same thing I did, a lot of them gave up and just let them go in foreclosure, where I just kept making the mortgage payments. The rents dropped a little bit during that period, but nothing crazy. With some hard work, we were able to keep making the mortgage payments. We never missed a payment through that whole period. So it worked out well. It really did. It was some lean years, without a doubt. But and now after all these years, we've got a lot of them that we've been able to pay off, and acquire a bunch more that we're still working on paying off.
I don't want to go too far down the real estate rabbit hole because I love the real estate, so I can just keep going with it. But it's a Laundromat podcast. But
right.
Before we get to the Laundromat stuff, I do have a couple questions. So number one, so many real estate investors lost their shirts in that period. So what do you attribute?
What was that I lost?
Oh, so many real estate investors lost their shirts during that 2008 to 2012 period. What do you attribute your survival to? Like what did you do different that your investor friends who gave up, or just so many real estate investors who, went big?
I never bit off more than I could chew. I never lived outside my means. There was times that I could go buy a big fancy house and drive, fancy cars. I've drove a pickup truck my whole life. My wife has always, drove a minivan. We have no extra sports cars. We just lived in a modest house, nothing fancy. We did just buy a big fancy house, but, today we can afford that. So, we live below our means.
Yeah. Kind of millionaire next door style.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Yeah. I think people get anxious to get to that sports car, nice fancy house phase without building the foundation that you've built of
absolutely,
you got to
have the foundation. But at that, you also have to be willing to take a risk. You've got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And, some of those properties, should I have bought them so fast? Maybe not. But it's knowing what you can handle and then doing what you say you're going to do. When you say that you're going to make those payments, you got to make those payments. And if that means you have to, skip going out with your friends because money's tight, that's what you have to do. Business has lots of ups and downs, and you got to be ready for the downs. Put money away for a rainy day because it's going to rain.
Yeah, that's a great line right there. Okay.
It's true.
Yeah. And so speaking of being able to take risks, so you said you were borrowing a lot of private money during, that 2008, 2012. Where were you finding private money at that time?
I was a member of a local landlords association, which basically had a bunch of old real estate investors. And over the years, I created a lot of good friendships by spending a lot of years there. And they trusted me. And when I said I was going to make a payment, I made a payment. They never had to ask. A check was always in the mail prior to the day that it was due. And just building a rapport and something that they can count on.
Yeah, that's huge. That networking and that reputation, those two, they really go hand in hand. Obviously.
Absolutely.
And it is kind of the pathway to success, I think.
Yes.
From all the successful people I've interviewed and have seen and have met, those two things, getting in the middle of the right people and having a good reputation with those people.
Absolutely.
Is a big deal.
Yeah. And find yourself a mentor, find someone that's in the business that can help you. And in the real estate business, I have a gentleman that has kind of been in my corner, and he was very, very successful in the business. And, his door was always open to me. You have to be willing to take, I don't want to say take advantage of it, but because it worked for both of us. I mean, he made a lot of interest off me over the years, but I have no problem paying that because that's what I signed up for, and it's made me money. So I have no issue with it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, I have a lot more real estate questions, but
sure.
Let's talk about you got like three. Well, real quick, I got to ask one more. Are you planning to buy more real estate, or are you capped out at 300?
No, I'll still buy more. Right now with the market so high, I've actually been selling stuff just because the prices are so high. Otherwise, I would just keep building. So as the deals come in, I'm still buying. But then I'm also selling a lot of property too. So I'm buying deals and I'm selling at retail today. Yeah.
Cool. All right. How'd you get into laundromats? You got all these rental properties. Where did this laundromat come from?
You want to know a real stupid reason? In my business, everything comes in checks. They pay online. I have zero cash. I never have cash in my business. And I thought, the only cash I ever get is my apartment buildings. I go collect all the quarters. Which I actually kind of like because it makes me get through the properties on the first of every month, and I check up on the hallways and I make sure the units are clean. I make the outside, the bushes are all trimmed and the yards look good, and I leave with a bucket of quarters from every property. Mm-hmm. So, and in our apartment buildings, we all have Speed Queen washers and dryers, and to be honest, they hardly ever break down in the hallways. And once they start to get old, I replace them. But some of them are 20 years old and they just run. So I thought, I always need cash. You need cash in your pocket. I'm tired of going to the ATM. And then my accountant's always like, oh, what'd you do this withdrawal for? And, I'm like, you know what? I just need a cash business that I can go get some cash that I can keep into my pocket. So I thought, boy, what could I do? So in one of my apartment buildings, I put a coin changer in there that the tenants can put in, $5 and get $5 worth of quarters or ones. And it helps them, but also helps me not to have to carry the quarters out. And then I've got some cash. Mm-hmm. So I thought, boy, this is working out well. I said, man, I had to look at a laundromat. Because there's a few of them around my town. And so I started watching YouTube. And there's a few channels that I really got interested in it. And one day I'm sitting there in the living room and watching some videos, and the wife is watching some TV. And I said, honey, I think I want me a laundromat. And she says, well, I've seen you watching all these videos, and I knew that one of these days you're going to tell me you're buying a laundromat. So, that's how it came to be, was that I decided, what the heck, let's do it. So I started watching Craigslist, and I started to network with a couple of local laundromat owners, trying to pick their brain a little bit, trying to learn the ins and outs of the business. And I started watching a lot of the YouTube videos, and then one came available. It was a rundown, horrible laundromat. And I made the guy an offer, and he accepted it. And I'm like, oh, now I own a laundromat. So we closed on it in about 2 weeks, and here I am.
Wow. Okay. So how long ago was this? When did you get that laundromat?
Probably 6-7 months now I've owned it. Okay. I found it through Craigslist, laundromat for sale. And the guy had 7 laundromats that he was selling. And the one was like 10 minutes from my office. The other ones were all half hour to an hour away. And I had zero interest in those. Yeah, just jumping into the business, I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew.
What's it been like? Did you put money into it? Did you fix it up? Did you run it how it was? What'd you do?
Yeah, I went all in. The first week that I bought it, it did $600 in sales. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't acceptable. This isn't even gonna, but I thought, I used that one movie, Field of Dreams. I thought, well, if I build it, they will come. Yeah. So immediately I put a new furnace and central air in, because it was, like 95 inside the building, and nobody's going to go do laundry in a building that's 95 degrees. That's just insane. So we put in a new furnace and central air. The roof had like 3 or 4 leaks. So I put a new roof on the building. And then some of the equipment was 30, 40 years old. So I called around to a bunch of different distributors, trying to find one that I liked. And everybody, says the Dexter and the Hips or Speed Queen. But those dealers, I felt like they were just trying to sell me a whole package. And I didn't feel like they really cared about me. Mm-hmm. So I ended up going with Continental, because our local Continental dealer, I really felt like he cared about me and what my best interest was. So, and he listened to me, and that's who I went with. I did have, I think, 4 brand new Dexter dryers already in the building. And then the Continental dealer, he had 6 30-pound double stacks that were like 5 years old. So I bought those. And then I bought 2 brand new 45-pound reversing dryers. So this way, all my dryers, then I didn't have any problems with dryers. And they were in the back of the building. So I said, well, let's do all of those first. This way, as we remodel the place, I just found that I thought that would be easier. So we did all the dryers first. And then as soon as we got the dryers done, then we started putting in some washers, and it's worked out.
Yeah. So was it your field of dreams? Did people start coming when you built it?
They did, not immediately, but the numbers, we were growing every single week. Every week the numbers were going up. And I think we're up like 800% within 7 or 8 months. So yeah, it's really working out. It's been a major money pit. I mean, that equipment is expensive. Mm-hmm. Really expensive. I mean, those washers aren't cheap. And I've ended up replacing all the washers except for, I had 3 big Maytags, 260s and 280s that were like 5 or 6 years old. But to be honest, they're my best producing machines in the building. People walk into them and they just go right there. I think they have larger doors. And and they're nice, big, shiny machines, and people go right to them. So I left those there because people loved them. And then we had 14 Horizons in there, and I've replaced half of them with new Continental 20-pound washers. But for some reason, people still like those Horizons. So I'm probably maybe going to replace them with Horizons. And I think it's the same thing. I think it's the big door that people just look at it. And I think that's what the laundromat customers see, and they just feel comfortable with, where the Continental doors are kind of smaller and it doesn't look like you can put as much stuff in there. And I'm big at watching people, and I track the machines to know, I can tell you how much my 80-pounder does. I can tell you of the 60-pounders, I can tell you exactly each week how much each one of them does. So I'm really tracking to know what people want. And I know a lot of it is they walk through the front door, and, of course, the big ones are right there. They use those up. But so, yeah, I'm a big at watching people and watching their patterns and which machines are getting used the most. So that's, I don't always listen to the distributors and what they want. I'm what my customers want, and it's based off what they're spending, not just what they're saying. So,
yeah, I think that's really smart. I mean, obviously they are your customers. That's where your money is coming from.
Absolutely.
How are you tracking? Are you just using a spreadsheet when you collect?
Yeah, a Google Doc. And I have, and every week I just put down, all right, this is what we collected on the 80-pounder today. This is what the 2 Maytag 60s collected. This is what the 2 soft mount 60 Continentals collected. And then my 40-pound soft mount Continentals, this is what they did. And I do that in a whole. I mean, we got 6 of them, but it's across the board. And then I got a couple 30-pounders. I track those, which those are in the far corner. They're horrible. They don't hardly do anything. And then the 20s do really well. So yeah, I'm big on watching people and what they do. And, one thing I found early on too, is when I had some real old beat up dryers in there, as long as the store's clean, people will use anything. They didn't even see the brand new Dexters down on the end. They went to the old, 30-year-old dryer. I think they just don't know any different. As long as they work, I don't think they care. Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah. And I've noticed too that some people just have a habit. They go to the same machines every time, and so
I agree with you.
Even if you replace those machines, they'd go to the same spot where those old machines were, and they just get in that habit. But I've also found that certain locations perform better than other locations. Even like for mine, I have some that are the ones that are up against the wall don't do as many turns as the ones that are on the edge of the aisle. They're easier to get to or whatever reason. Yeah. So just kind of interesting, like you said, watching the customer patterns, customer behaviors, and seeing, what they like and what they don't like, and being able to make adjustments. When you're ready to replace machines and stuff, you'll know what machines to put in there because you know what your customers like. Right? Absolutely. So that's what I do is I like to watch the cameras to see, what's going through people's minds and where they're going. So that's important to me. Yeah. Okay. So you've been working, you've been hustling. Did you do anything else to the store other than replacing machines?
We painted the outside of the store. We put brand new awnings on the front and the side because in the summertime, the sun was glaring through and was making that place an oven. So we put some real beautiful awnings up, and then I took and put some LED rope light through the awning. So this place glows. We put up new signage out front, and the place is absolutely gorgeous from the outside. And even the inside is nice. And I'm probably going to do some new flooring in the store too. Right now, it's just painted concrete. And I've been kicking around different ideas to do inside the store, and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet on what we're going to do there, but we're definitely going to do something. The painted concrete is, it's kind of blah. I'm thinking probably some new vinyl plank or something inside there. I just want to see what's going to hold up. Yeah, it was funny. I actually did the epoxy flooring, and Sherwin-Williams had sold me the product, and then I had to go back after we had put in the dryers because we had scratched them up. So we sanded them down exactly what they told us. And then we went to apply it back on top, and they had given us the wrong product. And the two had a chemical imbalance, and they just bubbled up and they looked horrible. So I sanded it again, and I just put down a porch and floor paint for today until I come up with something that we're going to do.
Yeah. There's always these little issues that come up, when you're trying to do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's been fun because like even my wife and my kids, I've taken my kids over there at, midnight, and we're in there painting till 3-4 in the morning. We'll paint the floors, or now we have employees that do all this stuff, but my employees don't want to work in the middle of the night. But, if the kids are going to be off for the weekend or something, we'll make a fun night of it, and we'll go over there and we'll move stuff around and do some painting. And, I've actually, my daughter, she loves to go take the coins out of the coin boxes, and she just gets all giddy when a box is full of money. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that it can kind of become a family affair. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and do it all together. My kids come and help me. My wife, not so much anymore. She's like, you take care of it. But my kids will come collect coins from me sometimes, and it's fun. And they'll play with the kids at the laundromat and stuff. Yeah,
the kids, they'll come over and help me fill the snack machines and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got this laundromat. You're 6-7 months into it. Business is up. You've been working on it. You got a lot that you're doing to it. And I mean, are you enjoying it? How is it comparing to your real estate stuff? Is it fitting in well?
The business is so small compared to our real estate company.
Right.
Now, when we first bought this place, I was there almost every single day. Now that it's kind of calming down, and, we've got 2 ladies that work at night. They're not at the same time, but different days of the week. They're doing all the cleaning. So they're keeping the place looking good. They're dealing with some of the customers at night. I'm only going there about 2 days a week now, which is kind of nice. So now it's doing what it's supposed to do, which I'm not supposed to spend a ton of time in the place, which we're getting to that point now. So I like that.
Yeah, that can take a little bit of time to set that up and get everything running, learn the business, get the right people in there, get it fixed up the way you want it. It can take a little bit of time to get that going.
Absolutely. And I was trying to learn the business, so that's why machines and stuff like that. But I personally was wanting to do it so I could see what we were selling. And now that I've got a good idea of what sells, what doesn't sell, I could possibly turn the keys over to the vending equipment and let her keep those things full. So, and I'll probably do that here pretty soon.
Yeah. I have vending machines in one of my stores, and I really don't like spending the time to fill those things up. I feel like it takes me forever to do it. And I'm like, man.
It is time consuming. Like I said, on Fridays, I fill all the vending machines, and you're right. I could definitely be doing something more important than that. But I was trying to learn the business and see what sells. So, and now that I've got a good grasp on that, then I can turn that over.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Well, you got one, and it's rolling. You're starting to get into a groove with it. Are you thinking about getting more at all, or you just got the cash in your pocket and you're good to go?
Yeah, I've got two other buildings that I already own that we're going to put them in. I've got a building that I've owned for probably 4 or 5 years. It's a commercial building with apartments upstairs. Well, the first floor, the commercial areas are vacant. I just had somebody move out of the corner unit. So there's no laundromat on that side of town. So right now I'm dealing with the city trying to get permits and a zoning change. My lawyer's dealing with all of that. So I'm waiting to get the green light that we can start to put it in. I already own the building, so why not do it? So we're putting one in there. And then I just bought a building that was an old Hardee's building on a super busy corner, right in the middle of a pretty rough area. But it's right next door to a CVS and a Walgreens and a BP gas station. So it's a super busy corner, and there's not a laundromat within probably 10 minutes. And the numbers are off the chart from the distributor. So I just closed on the building maybe a month ago, and I've just got the architect. He's come over and looked at everything, and he's got to put all the plans together so I can turn it into the city. So yeah, we're going to convert a Hardee's building into a laundromat.
Hardee's is that fast food?
Yeah, it's a fast food, like a McDonald's building of some sorts, but it's been empty probably for, I think 6-7 years. The building's been empty. So I was looking for this area because I know that it's mainly all rental. So I was like, all right, this would be a great area. But every building I came to either had no windows or no parking, or it just didn't have, the building wouldn't be a good laundromat. So then I came to this one and I made the people an offer, and we went back and forth a few times, and it's got everything I need. A lot of parking. It's got the windows on 3 sides, so you'll be able to see in, and we'll light that thing up like the 4th of July, so it'll be glowing inside. So it'll be great. I'm looking forward to the project. It's nice that we've started doing a lot of the demo and stuff like that, and so we're moving forward with it. I don't have anything approved by the city yet, but that'll come within the next month or two.
I like that. I like that confidence. So that one you were looking to buy specifically for a laundromat.
Yes. I bought that for a laundromat.
And you're like, I could make that one a laundromat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they'll be about 10 minutes apart, but that 10 minutes is like one's on another side of a river, and you got to go over a huge drawbridge to get to it. So they're completely different groups of people that would use them. So I think they both will do really well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. Well, that's pretty exciting. I mean, what are you going to do if the city says no?
They'll say yes.
I like to hear yes. I have my ways.
Right. I was told a long time ago, by my mentor. He said, you know what, you have your yeses before you even ask. I know people that know people in council and stuff like that. And, I'll go pitch the idea to them and let them know what's coming so that they can talk to their friends, and we'll get the yes before it even happens. So you just got to know who to talk to and who to sell the idea on. And the one building that I bought for a laundromat was the building zoned properly. We just got to get the city to approve the layout that we want. So we may have to change some things up a little bit inside, but that's okay. We'll do whatever they want. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to that network and having that reputation, right? And who and what you can get.
Absolutely. Done. Yep. Absolutely. And even in that, you just always, don't make enemies with the city. You, even though they tell me all the time things that I don't want to hear.
They don't make it easy to be friends a lot of times. And I mean any city, really.
Sure. Absolutely. So, I know enough people there that we'll get it done. Well, one way or another. It may not be the exact time frame that I'm looking, but we'll make it happen. I'm confident.
I like that. So you're kind of jumping in with both feet. What made you make the decision to, I mean, you're only 6 or 7 months into your first laundromat. So, and now you're talking about building two in places where you technically don't have permission yet to even build them. So what made you kind of jump in with both feet to do that?
I've always been that way. When I see something that I want and, where there's a will, there's a way. Right now the other companies are doing well, so we can afford to do this. It's not a big financial hit to the company to buy all the equipment and make it happen. So we can do that. But, one thing I've even found too is, a lot of the shows that I watch and people making comments, they're all, you got to buy brand new equipment for everything. And I don't think that's necessary. Most of this equipment's bought and made to last 25, 30 years. Even the dryers, network with people that know how to fix this stuff. I personally don't have time to fix any of it. I can troubleshoot a couple little things while I'm there, but if it's acting up, I just call my repair guy. Make sure that you got enough money that you can just afford to pay somebody to do these things. I found a guy that's all he does is repair laundry equipment. And is he expensive? Yeah, absolutely. But he's good at what he does. I mean, he can come in and fix it in an hour where I'd be farting around for 3 days trying to figure out how to do it. So I'm happy to pay him to fix it. But, the new one that we're building in the Hardee's building, I found online some used dryers that were hardly used. I mean, they are in beautiful shape for $1,600 a dryer, where they're like $7,500 a piece, brand new. So, and they can be fixed for a long time. So why would I spend, an extra $6,000 a machine for something that I can get, used on? So that's my opinion. I will put in some brand new, fancy, shiny machines right by the doors, so that when people walk in, they see something to make them want to walk through the door. And, this way they don't think it's all just old junk in here, but, and keep the place clean and, hire some friendly attendants that make people feel comfortable there, and they will come. So
yeah, I think that attendant thing is a big deal too. Having, if you're going to have attendants there, just having friendly people who are, I think I've told this like way back when, but I had an attendant one time, and she was just as feisty. Like, she was super nice, but she was feisty, and she was literally getting in like these like yelling matches with customers. And I was like, whoa, what is happening right now? It makes a big difference when you got the right person in there.
Absolutely. And if that person doesn't work, then you got to move on.
Yeah.
You got to find the right people that, you want to feel comfortable when you walk through the door, and you want to feel welcome when you walk through the door. None of these stores are going to be attended all the time. We're going to do, definitely every night there'll be somebody there for a couple hours cleaning and taking out trash, and but we're not going to be fully attended. I'll put on the doors that they unlock at 5 a.m. and then they relock at midnight. So yeah, this way, if somebody calls off, it's not the end of the world. That's my game plan.
Yeah, I like that. Well, hey, speaking of which, I got a little section that we call Down to Business.
Let's get down to business. Over and out.
Okay.
And we've already been talking about your business and what's been going on. We've been talking about it already. But let's just get a little bit more details about your business and how that journey's been over the last 6-7 months.
Okay.
So where are you? You're in Ohio, right? Is that
correct? We're in Lorain County. We're in Lorain County, up on the lake, right on Lake Erie.
All right. Lorain County, Ohio. Sounds nice.
My one store is in Elyria, which is just south of Lorain. It's we got about 300,000 people in our county. So it's not a huge area, but it does have a good amount of people here.
Cool. I normally ask people how many laundromats in real estate you got, but you got one laundromat and you got two on the way.
Yep.
Providing the city says yes, which they will.
Sure. They will. We'll get them through.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you got like 300 or so units of real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just over 300 rental properties.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And you've been in the business for 6 or 7 months. We've already talked about that.
Yep.
So tell me, what does it cost to do laundry in your neck of the woods? What are VIN prices looking like?
A 2-loader runs $250 a load. Our 3-loader is $350 a load. A 40-pound machine is $5.25. A 6-loader is at $675. We have a 7-loader at $775, and our 80 is at $925.
Do a lot of people use that 70-pounder?
It is probably our slowest machine, but it's also because it's off in a corner. I actually just ordered with Continental a self-injecting softener and soap, so you won't have to put any soap and stuff on it. It's got, lights on it, and it's going to inject the soap, and it kind of like puts on a little circus kind of thing. And I'm hoping that will pick up that machine. I put the machine in brand new 3-4 months ago, and I ran a special on it when I first put it in for like $3 a load, and it ran nonstop for a month, but then it's just kind of died off when I put it back up to its normal price. So I'm thinking if I put that soap injector in there, that maybe that will make that machine busier. So, and take some pressure off of the 80 and the 60s. So that's my goal. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'll be curious to know how that works out. I've never used one of those self-injecting kind of machines, but
yeah, it looks cool. I don't know if it's a waste of money yet or not, but we're going to find out.
It's only one way.
If you don't try, you don't know. So
exactly. And I think that's a big point, actually. I think a lot of people are afraid to try different things. And I know even me, like sometimes I'm afraid to try different things, but one of the things I've found that is if you don't try stuff, you don't have data points to help you make good decisions down the line. Right? Like you could try this and it could shoot this thing through the roof. And now when you're building your next two, hey, I need to include this stuff in my next two because man, it shot through the roof. But if it doesn't do anything for it, then you probably know, hey, I don't need to put that really in my next two. Right. But you have those data points because you're willing to try something. So.
Right. Exactly. Because if it picks up and does really well, we'll put it in the other laundromats. If it doesn't work, we're not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart. Well, you said you've been tracking your machine. So what are you doing turns per day? Are you tracking it that way?
I don't always track it by turns per day, but this last week I did track my 80 and we were averaging a little over 5 turns per day.
Nice.
In the 80. But on average, we're more around 3.5 to 4 turns per day on the rest of the machines. Which is good. I like that. Of course, I'd like to see more, but who wouldn't? I don't know what the national average is. I don't know what people are doing, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Well, I found that I hear all kinds of numbers for the national average. And I kind of got to a point where I'm like, I don't really care actually what the national average is. Really, I only care what my businesses are doing.
Right. I agree with you. How do I get mine to do more? But my 70-pound machine probably only does a little over one turn per day. I mean, that's just, so that's horrible. So that's why I'm putting that injector on top to see if I could get that one up to, 3 or 4 times a day. And then it will pay for itself once, if it does do more. And if not, it was a waste of money and we move on,
If not, it was a valuable data point in a valuable.
Absolutely. I've never seen it in another laundromat in our area. So it's something new. And maybe, something new will draw people in. I don't know. We're going to find out though.
Maybe you should have them set it up so it looks like a flux capacitor.
Exactly.
Turn the time back to when your clothes were clean or brand new.
Right. Right. I like that.
That's good marketing right there. Look at that.
Right.
That's a free one for you.
Right. I'll use it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man. All right. So you're going to go with kind of a partially attended model where you're going to have people basically coming in and cleaning up and customers for a couple hours.
Exactly. When we open the new ones, we'll be fully attended probably for the first 6 months, and then we'll start to back out some of the hours to where we're not fully attended.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, and I forgot to, did you, when you were putting in new equipment and stuff, did you do anything marketing wise to let people know? I mean, I know like doing stuff to the outside lets people know that you're doing stuff probably to the outside and attracts people. Right. But did you do anything else?
I did a lot of Facebook ads. And it was kind of nice that our local councilman at that store was sharing everything that I put out. So that really was good. And every day I'd put up, hey, here's the floors we're putting in, or here's the new 60-pound machine, or here's the new dryers, or every day I was putting out a Facebook ad, and then I was paying, like $20, $30 a day worth of advertising too. But I haven't had to do a lot of that lately. I think I did one last week for a new coin changer that I just put in. One that's a bill-to-bill with some coin return. I did an ad on that one. It was just something different. Nobody else has that here, but I noticed, everybody that comes in, they have a 20 and they're like, hey, can you break this for me? I don't want $20 worth of quarters in my pocket. Mm-hmm. So I ordered a bill-to-bill. So if they put in a 20, they get 3 5s and $5 worth of quarters. To cut back, I don't have to be as manpower as much. And I don't have to leave a bunch of 5s there with the employees wondering, all right, are they, not that they're going to, I trust who I have there, but, you also don't want, someone held up because they have money there. I mean, it makes it safer for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you just boosting those posts?
Yeah. Yeah. Just through Facebook. It really worked. We picked up a lot of business through that. So I highly recommend that for people. Yeah,
that's a good tip. Did you know the councilman who was resharing your stuff, or he just
never met him before? She liked what we were doing, and I kind of kept her in the loop of what was going on, and she just loved what we were doing. We had the mayor stop by one day to see what we were doing, and he did a little boost of, this is what's happening on the south side of Elyria, and so it was just little things like that. And it's a nice, pretty store now. So they were grateful that that side of town's getting cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder if I can get the LA mayor to swing by my little laundromat and boost something.
Maybe the councilman will, though. You never know.
Yeah. So you're running 100% coins. Is that what you're doing?
We are coin plus pay range. Okay. We installed pay range. And it's kind of funny. Pay range on a Continental machine was a little bit of a pain in the butt because they, as soon as you put in, you have to select a, like a hot, cold or whatever. And then the little flap will open so that you can start to put quarters in. Well, if you pay with pay range, it would just eat the money unless you selected the button of what to use. So I'm like, oh, we can't do this. This just isn't going to work. And I called Continental and they're like, well, there's no other way around it. You're just going to have to educate your customers to, hit, button 4 before you pay with pay range. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't going to work. This is, so my repair guy, I was telling him about it and he's like, there's got to be a way around it. And he read the manual and he figured it out. So they were able to keep that door open all the time. And then it just puts the money on there as a credit. So it really pays to have intelligent people that know your machines in and out.
Man,
so
pay this guy to give a little lesson, huh?
Jeez. They should. But there's always where there's a will, there's a way.
That's right.
So I like pay range. I'm debating on the next stores whether I go with a card system or a quarter. But to be honest, I think people like the quarter. Especially where I'm at. If I was in a high end city, maybe LA or something, I don't know. Maybe there they would want, a card system, but I don't think so. Not where I'm at. I think they like to put the quarters in. I think that my clientele, are, not as educated. I think a lot of them don't have a debit card or a credit card. And I think they don't want to leave, $4 or $5 on a card. I don't think they have that extra kind of money. So that's my personal experience from what I'm seeing with my people. So I'm thinking I may stay with quarter and pay range. Pay range does about, I think we're probably at 15% of our people are using pay range. The rest are all using quarter. So I think we're probably going to stay that way.
Have you tried incentivizing using pay range in any way?
I made up little business cards that told people if they gave us a 5-star Google review, I'll give them $5 on pay range, and then I'll send it to them through the app. So when I bought the place, it was like a 1.2 Google and Facebook. I mean, it was horrible. But now we're up to almost a 4-star. And a lot of it has to do with, giving the $5 free away, which I don't care. My daughter says, "Oh, Dad, you're," I don't remember what she said, but it wasn't positive. she was like, "You're just buying your votes here, Dad." I'm like, "What you want?" I'm just trying to get a higher Google, rating and what's the other one? Google and Facebook.
Facebook.
We don't do Yelp much out this way. It's not very big here. But people love it now. They love the store. They love when they come in that it's clean and the equipment always works. It drives me nuts when there's an out of order sign on there. I call my guy immediately when something breaks, get it fixed, and let's get this whole store up and running again. So.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's a good habit to have. If you got the guy who can come fix it, man, then, those machines down, not only is it a deterrent for customers, if you get too many machines down, customers are like, but also,
right.
That machine's not making any money when it's broken.
Exactly.
Get it back up and running.
Some of the things I noticed too is like I had bought a bunch of folding tables. I bought the ones off Amazon, the stainless steel like kitchen tables.
Mm-hmm.
I had bought a bunch of those to replace those old nasty tables we had in there. But I found with the stainless steel, they're always smudged up. With the fingerprints, and people leave their soda bottles up there, and it just always looks dirty unless you were attended full time that somebody's in there wiping nonstop. Yeah. And we're not attended all the time. So that didn't work for me. And every time I'd walk in and see those tables, it would just drive me nuts. I'd immediately go get the cleaner and make it look good. And I thought, you know what, I got to get rid of these tables. So I ended up buying the new actual folding tables. I know they were a lot more expensive, but you know what, when I walk in there now, the place doesn't look dirty. So if I was attended, I would have left those other tables in there, but that was something I learned that I wouldn't do again. I would, next time I'll be buying just regular folding tables and paying the price for them because they're worth it.
Yeah. Another good tip. How many, I know you said you're down to about 2 times a week going to the laundromat. How many hours are you spending when you're there, or how much time?
Mondays I'm there half hour to an hour, depending on what I run into. And Mondays is usually that's when it's its dirtiest because Sunday was packed. And if I go in there on Monday morning, from the time our attendant leaves at 8 p.m. and we close at midnight, sometimes on Monday morning, the place is just a pig pen. And I go in there and I clean. So sometimes it can be an hour I'm in there. And then Fridays I'm in there for about an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah. It's amazing how quickly people can destroy a place.
Oh, man. You're not kidding. Trash everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I would
brutal.
say as soon as that first dryer sheet hits the floor, it's like a free for all. Like
yes.
Chicken bones on the ground. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The dryer sheet hits the floor. It's
right.
Sometimes I walk in, I'm like, did like a tornado happen in here? Like,
right.
It hasn't been that long. Like, what happened?
I think following Keenan says the dirtier the laundromat, the more money that's in the coin box. So, and it's 100% correct. So when I walk in and the place is a disaster, that means we did well the night before. So I don't mind cleaning. I may change up. I may even hire someone in the morning that comes in for an hour every morning, just do a one more once over. But I like my laundromat clean, but it doesn't hurt my feelings when I walk in and the place is an actual pig pen because that means we did well. So
unless you have a homeless problem and it's just dirty because you got a homeless guy in there. One of the things I did, one of the things that I did, and again, this kind of depends on who you hire, but I would hire somebody to basically work a split shift just for 2 to 3 hours, but they would come in either in the morning and do their hour and a half to 2 hour cleanup of the place or however long it took. And then I'd have them come back for just a quick, 30-minute tidy up. Like if they came in the morning, I'd have them come, in the evening and do a quick 30-minute tidy up where they pick up the dryer sheets and the chicken bones and whatever else is in there.
Absolutely.
Wipe stuff down real quick.
Exactly.
And that really helped. It gave them a little bit more.
Makes perfect sense.
I hire people who are just right in the neighborhood for my unattended store. I just found that they've had more of a pride of ownership and they've ended up taking better care of the store when they've been working there. So it's easy for them to walk across the street for 30 minutes and tidy up. But that had a big impact because my unattended store would get thrashed, from they come in the morning or in the evening, whatever. Like by the next time they come, it would just be trashed. But I found that just a 30-minute tidy up made a huge difference for.
Absolutely. I can really make that place look good in 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get it.
Well, we got a section called Secret Sauce.
Listen up, it's the secret sauce.
And that is, what's something that you feel like is working really well for you that other owners can implement into their business to help them improve their business?
Definitely the Facebook ads. That has done wonders for us. And keep your store clean and don't be afraid to meet your customers and talk to them. And one thing that I found every time I'm there, I open up the pop machine and I pass out free drinks. It puts smiles on everyone's face. Everyone's grateful. And what does it cost you? 30 cents a pop? I mean, for a can of soda. And I just, I asked the kids for, hey, what would you like? Would you like a candy bar? Sure. So when I go over there, it costs me $5-10, but it just puts a smile on people's faces and it doesn't really cost you much. And if I see a new customer that walks through the door, I offer them today's laundry on me. Here, let me start this machine for you. Hey, let me show you pay range. It's an app that you can put on your phone if you like. And, this is how it works. And then like, oops, I just paid for your laundry. I hope you don't mind. And it makes them want to come back when they get something for free. And even if you see somebody that comes in all the time and you happen to be there, start their machine. What does it hurt? To me, it doesn't really cost you much. And the goodwill. And if somebody ever complains about they lost some money in the machine, I just give them their money back. No questions asked. I do have a couple of people that I've seen repeat. They keep asking. Well, those I might say something to eventually, but if if they lost money, whether I had a guy the other day that the new bill machine, it gives them 3 5s back and then $5 in quarters. Well, he didn't realize that he gave 3 5s and he left the 3 5s in there. And someone came in later and it's like, ooh, free money in this machine. So I gave him his $15 that he lost because he didn't know how the machine worked. It doesn't really cost me that much. I'm not going to lose any sleep over $15. So, but I made him happy and he'll come back. So, take care of your customers and they'll take care of you.
Yeah, that's great advice. And, even that $15, I mean, over the lifetime of that customer, that $15 ends up being well worth,
absolutely
worth it. But I know a lot of laundromat owners' tendency is to, be very tight with their finances.
Sure.
Which is not a bad quality per se, but at the expense of a customer, if you lose a customer over a $15, that's probably not a good decision, right?
Right. Completely agree.
I like what you're saying. I like taking care of your customers. And I think you're right. I've had a couple guests who've said, no questions asked, we'll refund money or whatever. There are people who try to take advantage of that and you can address that. But by default, I like that mentality of, oh, you lost money? Okay. Here it is. Or, one of the ones that happens a lot, with at my stores is, people will put a lot of soap in there.
Sure.
And they'll say, your machine's broken. Look at all this soap. And, trying to explain to somebody that the only way that there's too much soap in there is that if you put too much soap in there,
right.
Found to be a very fruitless conversation.
Right.
So just, saying, hey, throw in some fabric softener. Here it is. I'll give it to you.
Sure.
And
absolutely.
I'll run a rinse cycle again and it'll be fine. Is way easier than trying to say, explain to them.
Absolutely.
And then just
make them happy. They feel special. They'll come back.
Yeah. And then taking the opportunity to educate them at the same time.
Yes. Completely agree.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's great secret sauce. I think, all those things we can learn from, all of us, implementing the Facebook ad stuff, keeping the stores clean seems like obvious, but I don't know. I've been in enough laundromats to know that it's not obvious to everybody.
Right. I agree.
And then I really like the, meeting the customers, building that relationship. It really, if you can put that personal touch on there and then just kind of make them feel special, whether that's passing out soda or starting their laundry for them every now and then or whatever, buying their kids a little candy or whatever.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I know one time over the summer I was there and, it was lunchtime and I ran up to McDonald's and, I knew there was a lady there with her kids and I bought them all, the little ice cream cups from McDonald's. I mean, and that lady's been there every week ever since. So it's like, what did that? I spent $4 for, some ice cream at McDonald's for the kids. I mean, it does. They're going to choose you over somebody else because of that rapport that you've created with them. It goes a long ways.
Yeah. I've mentioned this quite a few times since, but past guest Elizabeth Bricken Wilson said, your laundromat is an extension of, or it should be an extension of people's homes. And,
sure.
Doing things like that just makes it feel homey, right? It just makes
Absolutely
feel like home. And
absolutely,
that's what we should be doing. I love that.
Completely agree.
Well, we have another section called Pro Tips.
Pro Tips.
And Pro Tips is for the newbie, somebody not so different from you 7 or 8 months ago, where they're looking to buy their first laundromat. Do you have any advice for them?
Get educated. You can get free education on YouTube. Watching, I like following Keenan, Chock full of quarters. There I fixed it. Your podcast, of course. And every laundromat can be different. Just because one person runs theirs one way doesn't mean you have to run it that way. Do what works for you, but be consistent. And that's the most important thing. And your customers will know how consistent you are. And that's what really pays off. So spend the time on YouTube watching those videos and find the type of laundromat you want to own. Yeah,
that's great advice. Great advice. And those are all awesome YouTube channels. I'll link to all of those. If you haven't checked them out, you can just click on those links. Those will be in the show notes, or if you're on YouTube already, it'll be down in the description. Go check those out, give them a subscribe, and learn a lot from those guys. They're all doing a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome.
Okay, last little section we have is called recommended resources. And I mean, you just mentioned a bunch of awesome YouTube videos where people can, or YouTube channels where people can learn about the industry. Anything else you want to add to those few channels?
No, just because one of them say this is the way you got to do it doesn't mean that necessarily works for you. I know, some of them, they do all the repairs themselves. I don't get dirty in an aspect. You'll see my fingernails. I have no grease on my fingernails. I'm never going to tear a machine apart and try to fix it. I don't know how to. I don't really want to know how to either. So I'm going to be just the investor side of it. But, if you were a handy individual, this could also be a great business for you because you can make all your own repairs and you could save money on that side. So that's why it's so important that just because you do something different doesn't mean that it's still not going to work for you. And just find out what works for you and then play on those strengths. Yeah,
I like that. And it never ceases to amaze me how differently people run their very simple laundromat businesses, right? There's just a lot of different ways to do it. And there's a lot of people saying this is the way to do it. And you'll hear that from brokers. You'll hear that from distributors. You'll hear that from people on YouTube. You'll hear that from people on the podcast. You'll hear that all over the place. And there isn't one way to do it, right? You absolutely, like what you said, to follow your strengths and make it work for you the way that it's going to work best for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been awesome. So much good stuff. It's so funny because obviously you're fairly new in the industry, but you're a incredibly seasoned investor and have a ton of really great advice for all of us. And I love what you're doing with your real estate stuff, obviously, but also I love what you're doing with your laundromat. You have the right mindset to succeed. I can't wait to see the next two that come out. And I also can't wait to see your detergent flux capacitor. And man, it's going to be great. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing so much about your experience and just your wisdom that you've gained, and really, really appreciate it, man. All right. I hope you got a ton of value out of this interview with Steven, because like I said in the beginning, in order to accumulate 300 units and a laundromat and more, you're doing something right. And he's got a lot of wisdom to share. I know I gained a ton of wisdom. I was kind of geeking out a little bit on his real estate investing and in particular, but also about the laundromat stuff. But every single week I encourage you guys, pick one thing to take away from the interview. Put it into practice, because action is what's going to lead you to success, not learning by itself. Knowledge is power when you put it into action. So let's get powerful. Let's get pumped. Okay. For me, my big takeaway, he had this quote and I wrote it down. And I thought it was really genius, as I've kind of been thinking about it since the interview. I'm recording this a little bit after, but I've been thinking about this quote that says, "Know what you can handle and do what you say you're going to do." And for me, what I love about that is the times where I find that I'm dropping the ball, somewhere in my life, whether it's, not getting back to some of you guys who've emailed me because I'm like inundated with emails, or, whatever the case may be. Like, that's just recently on my mind because I've been trying to catch up on emails. But whenever I drop the ball, it's because of a lack of understanding or a lack of my own ability to admit to what I can handle and what I can't handle. And that leads me to saying that I'm going to do something that I can't do. And one of the big themes in Steven's interview was to network with people who are successful, and then to have a good reputation with them, with that group of people. And that comes through knowing what you can handle and doing what you say you're going to do. And that part is huge, because a lot of people say they're going to do a lot of things and don't do it. So for me, that's kind of what I'm doing this week, is I'm taking a little bit of self-assessment and saying, okay, am I doing things that I just can't handle? And I need to back off of that so that I can do the things I say I'm going to do. That's my takeaway. What's yours? Maybe head over to the forum, introduce yourself in the introductions forum, and then maybe go find a spot on the Laundromat forum to let us know what your big takeaway was. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of this episode. Next week, we have another incredible episode. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. And if you haven't done so yet, maybe jump over to Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. Where is that? I don't know. Wherever you're listening to this, or right here on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, and subscribe to the show, and maybe leave me a rating and review so that I know how to get better, for one, and what you like and what you don't like, but also so that other people can find us here on the podcast. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks again. Peace.